Alright, my awesome tacularites, you see it yet? Good. Well, if you haven't seen it, this is the It spoiler talk, which is pretty much going to be me talking about Pennywise. There's a lot to talk about Pennywise. And that is a spoiler warning. If you haven't seen it, you should really go see it. See it. If you want to see a spoiler-free review, I do have that. I'll put a link below. If you just want to hear me talk about spoilers and do not care, welcome. So that's your spoiler warning. And in the end, okay, so Pennywise. Pennywise isn't really Pennywise. Pennywise is a construct of a clown that was called Pennywise, but in the end, it is essentially a boggart from Harry Potter. He's a creature that takes the form of anything someone fears, and he makes them scared shitless because he feeds on the fear. The fear makes the person taste better, I guess. However, we are in the Muggle world, so there's no ridiculous spell. You can't just laugh him away. You see your fear embodied in physical form. You just run and hope you're faster than it. And at a point in the movie, you realize that Pennywise, or it, is an apex predator. And it has been around for a very long time. It comes around every 27 years or so and then goes back into hibernation, comes back 27 years later, kills a bunch of people by taking the form of what they fear, no matter what it is, and then goes back into slumber. So you can very much assess that it is very good at what it does. Which is scarier because I still don't know what it is. I'm about 350 pages into the book, so I don't know what it is. I do know that there's a scene where the bully in the movie, he dies from zombies, because this movie takes place in the 80s, whereas the It novel, when they're kids, takes place in the late 50s. And in the late 80s, teenage boys were not watching Creature from the Black Lagoon, so they had a bunch of zombies kill him rather than the Creature from the Black Lagoon. But in the book, when the Creature from the Black Lagoon kills the bully, he literally is the Creature from the Black Lagoon the entire time. There's no clown, there's no Pennywise, just comes up to him and it pulls his head off like a daisy, just pop. Which makes me think, why is Pennywise in the movies so much? It may be because in the miniseries with Tim Curry, Pennywise became very popular. You need to put a consistent face with your villain, or maybe Pennywise is in the book more and I just haven't gotten to those segments. There were a couple of people earlier on in the book, they both saw the clown, but maybe their fears were clowns. Was Georgie scared of a clown? I don't know. But he was a clown when he killed him in the book, and he was a clown in this movie. I'm just spitballing here, so if you know the answer from the book, don't tell me, don't ruin it. I'll read the book, I'll find out. But for right now, these are the questions I have. I like when you find out the history of Derry, you see that circus, and there's a little kid who looks a lot like young Pennywise. And I imagine that little kid grew up to be Pennywise the dancing clown, and did it see him as like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna take the form of you. That's a great form to take. If I'm not turning into other things, that's gonna be my baseline. Not a bad one, because that's a creepy ass clown. It does make sense that the longer this story goes on, they start seeing Pennywise instead of other shit. The unrealistic thing is Pennywise is terrorizing these kids, and they're still mostly afraid of something else. After that slide projector scene, which has gotta be the scariest thing they have seen in their lives, I imagine they would only ever see Pennywise after that. That's what the boggart would turn into forever. And the whole fear thing, and the fact that Pennywise has to get someone so afraid for their life before he eats them. There's something about a horror movie, a scary movie, a movie in general, where the villain or the antagonist is just messing with someone. You're like, dude, just kill them. But it's all to give the friend time to save the good guy, and then they get out of there. In this movie, it made more sense. He has to get someone so afraid for their life before he eats them. I do feel like that scene in the house, though, he was scared enough. He could have eaten him. But when it captures Beverly and takes her down to its lair, they all go after her, and I love that scene, because it, being the boggart, starts turning into things that they all fear when it faces them. Tried to eat Stanley's face, and he became that weird, creepy ass fucking painting he hates. That's when you really see it is not really a ghost, it's not a spirit, it's a life form of some sort. But I think that's scarier. That's one of the many things that sets it apart. At this point in my life, I haven't seen anything that makes me think, yeah, demonic hauntings are possible. But I do have things that I fear myself. If there's something out there, a life form that can take on the form of that, how do you run away from that? That's just something else entirely. Because we all have fears. So a little bit of it does exist in our brains, in our subconscious. So when it takes Beverly at the end, it doesn't kill her because she's not afraid of it. She has seen and experienced darker shit than the rest of the kids in the movie. So she's like, you're a clown, that's all you got? And the thing she's afraid of most, she kicked in the balls and smashed over the head. So Pennywise doesn't have much over her, so he just puts her in some weird comatose state where she just trips balls and is awoken with a kiss. Not gonna lie, that was so classic fairy tale that actually went over to the cheesy side of the force. Doesn't compromise the movie as a whole, just saying. Funny enough, the one scene where I was like, whoa, this is a bit too extreme even for me, is the rock fight scene. They're throwing rocks like as big as my fist the whole time. I'm like, oh, just cover your mouths, you could lose some teeth. I'm that boring adult sitting there like, that is so dangerous. They're taking rocks to the head and face. I would love to see that scenario, but actually like real. Where rocks smash into everyone's faces and they all have concussions and they all die. I mean, that's how it would really be. I imagine in the next movie, Bill Skarsgård is going to be Pennywise the Clown still. I feel like that's very important. We're going to have new actors playing these characters 27 years later. They all come back to Derry because Pennywise has come back and they made that oath. And while they're all older, Pennywise, the exact same age. How do you fight something like that? It transcends life as we know it. That's really cool. At that point, you got to think to yourself, who's going to play them as adults? That's going to be half the fun for the next couple years, or at least 1 year, or at least a month before we find out the casting. Jake Gyllenhaal, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Amy Adams. Who's going to be in It Chapter 2? And you got to think, if it's 27 years after the events of this movie, the next movie is going to take place in 2015 or 16. In which case, do they not have social media? Did none of them keep in contact via Facebook? Are they all going to show up in the next movie like, what are you up to? Wow, crazy. I had no idea. Because I do not use social media in 2015. I guess we'll find out. I've had a bunch of people tweeting me like, why didn't you give It Awesome-tacular? I don't know if you want it to be awesome-tacular. I suppose it could be. I'll bump it up. I'll say it is awesome-tacular. Here's the part we all realize, if I did that or didn't do that, the world would be no different. Whatever. It's a great movie. All right, guys, so It, I imagine you've seen it, so I'm gonna ask you this. What would it turn into to freak you out before it kills you? What do you fear most? Me, it would turn into the Bumble from Rudolph. Would blow my mind if I saw that thing walking towards me. But whatever it would turn into, whatever you think, comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.